Okay. Again, good morning to everybody, and we're glad to see you here. I'm going to do a little bit of the training this morning, and then after a while, Joe's going to kick in and do some too. Diane's here, and all of you guys should know Diane pretty well. I don't know if any of you have personally met Joe, but he's here too. He's in a blue shirt. And Sarah's here. She's sitting behind me. And I'm Teresa, and I'm the executive director of Arkansas Good Start. And we're glad to see all of you guys on board. As new people come on, make sure you go over to the chat box and put in the name of your daycare and who all's there that's listening to the training so that you can get your training certificates.
Mom, actually, I've got it set up for a question at the end that they will answer to send me an email, and that's how we'll do the participation. So you don't have to worry about keeping
I know that you guys know as well as we know the trouble that we've had out of the Little Rock office this year. They've got a new computer system that well, I don't think they were ready to put it online, but they put it online, and then's when all the bugs started showing up. And I know that some of you got really delayed in getting your checks, but it was just not something that we had any control over. And we're still working, they're still working with it because one computer doesn't talk to another computer and they don't know how to fix it. And so we're working on getting things back together and believe me, we did not delay anybody's check at all. We just have to wait till the funds come in now till we can send the money out.
Sounds like the Secret Service.
Probably like it's government. What did you
About as messed up as they are right now.
Well, they've been working with that for years. They've been telling us, we're going to come out with a new system. They tried it about 3 or 4 years ago and it didn't work. So they backed up and punted and the state has spent millions of dollars on getting this thing up and going. And they still don't have it up and going. Maybe it'll be better when they get the bugs worked out, but I don't know. It seems to get more complicated rather than easier. And it's like when the government told them to reduce paperwork, it seems like they just got more paperwork. So, but that's government. I've been dealing with it since 1988. So you just have to live with it because they're the ones that have to tell you how to do it.
We're from the government and we're here to help.
I'm going to talk a little bit about what's required. First of all, on your enrollment forms, I know that the guys that have been here for a long time, you already know this. All the spaces have to be clean, have to be filled out. We need the name, the birthday, circle which days of the week that they're going to be there. And it's important that you circle the 3 meals that you're going to count on the food program. The parent may want us to do breakfast, AM, lunch, PM, whatever. But if you're only feeding that child breakfast, lunch, and PM, then that's what we want to see marked on there. They can put all of the children that are in that household. They can put all the children on the same enrollment form. And of course, if you have an infant, you have to fill out the obligation to serve. And the obligation to serve, make sure that you put down there what formula that you have to have a formula at your house. So make sure you mark down what your formula is, and then the parent can either accept your formula or they can bring their own formula. And it can be the same thing. You still get paid for it. If they're sending breast milk, specify that they're bringing breast milk. And now be careful when you get down to the part that says whether or not they accept your food. Now, I realize, you may get a 2-month-old baby and the parent doesn't want you to feed that baby anything right then. But at 6 months, when you have to start feeding that baby, if they marked it no, then you're not going to be able to count that baby unless you go back to that parent and get them to refill that thing out saying that they accept your food. Now you can only supply one item in that meal. Now, excuse me, that's wrong. The parent can provide one item. That item can be the formula, or if you're providing the formula, it can bring infant cereal, so you can't, they can't bring the formula and the infant cereal and the baby food and you count that child. So be careful about that. Pay attention to how your infant menu is written out, because for breakfast and for lunch, for breakfast, we have to have iron fortified infant formula. And for lunch, if you don't want to have the iron fortified infant formula, you can substitute meat. But now snack, they will let us feed things like Cheerios or, some kind of cereal that they can pick up depending on how old they are. But any other cereal and any other meal has to be the iron fortified infant formula, because we've had some coming through that are feeding like Cheerios for breakfast, and they don't allow that. The income eligibility form, those are good for 1 year. So, of course, your homes, we always do it in October. We get a whole new set of enrollment forms. It's time for your homes to get your new enrollment forms in, because once they expire, we can't pay on that child. It's just like we don't even have an enrollment form. So get those filled out. If you're a center, pay attention to, if I were a center, I'd pick a month, like maybe October, pick that month and renew every single one of those in that same month. And that way you don't have to worry about it all year unless you take on a brand new child. Then, of course, we have to have one. Now, we can't count that child before the date that's on that enrollment form. For instance, if you take a child on, and let's say it's the 10th of the month when you take that child on, but it's the 20th of the month when you get that enrollment form signed, well, we can't count the child until the 20th of the month. So make sure that when you take that child on, that that day you're getting that parent to fill out that income eligibility form. And I know there's a problem if you send a thing home with the parent and they forget it. They get home and they're fixing supper or whatever and they forget it. And you send it home again and they forget it. And you send it home again and they forget it. And this goes on and on and on and on. And then you've messed around and you don't have an enrollment form, so you're going to miss getting paid on that child. The best thing with that is to have them sit down right then and there and fill it out at your table. It doesn't take them long to fill it out. And that way you can feed that child the first day that child's there, because you've got a signed enrollment form ready to go. Okay. Any questions so far on what there's a thing down on the bottom, well, it used to be, that where you could raise your hand, or Diane, pay attention to Diane, are you watching chat? You're muted. Joe, you watching chat? Okay, if there's any questions, throw them at me. Okay,
I'm watching chat now.
Okay, if you've got questions, let us know as we go, and I'll stop and answer them while it's fresh on my mind. Now, of course, it does not matter on the homes, because you guys don't have to keep up with what you spend. You do, however, are supposed to spend all the money that you receive. You're supposed to spend it on food or food-related stuff. You can't go out and buy a new car, and you can't go out and buy new clothes and stuff like that. You have to use these funds you get. You have to use them for the food and food related expenses for your daycare. And of course, nobody can use your EBT card to buy groceries. If we see one come through that has an EBT on it, we have to turn it into the state. So please don't accidentally use an EBT card to buy any food for your daycare. But the funds on your centers, the centers have to spend all of their money. The food part of your daycare is nonprofit, okay? And that means you've got to spend all of that money, and it's got to be spent on things that are daycare, that are food or food related. You have to spend right at, preferably 50% of what you receive needs to be spent on food or food related costs, or food or milk, okay? Then the other 50% can be used for to help pay your salaries, to help pay for things like plates and cups and napkins and the things that you have to do in order to run your food program. You could, if you've got money that's left over, you could turn in the percentage of your light bill or whatever. That one of those things where you figure out how many square feet you got and how many square feet's in the kitchen and how many hours a day. Anyway, if you need help with that, holler at us. But make sure that you guys turn in receipts for your labor, and don't forget labor on yourself. Now, if you have an account set up over here for your daycare, and you have an account set up over here for your food, well, you can and you're paying your salaries out of this one. Well, you can take your funds out of your food program and put it over in there to cover your salary. But we need you to turn, even though we're not going to necessarily pay you for your salaries, but you can use part of your money to pay salaries for your cook and for yourself. Now, you can't turn in receipts for your school, for your teachers, and for all of that stuff. And only personnel that's dealing with the food program, that's the only thing that you can turn in. And again, don't forget yourself, because we need to show that you spend all this money. And we've got some people that are not hitting the 50%, and we're going to have to send out some letters because that's in violation of the rules if you don't spend the 50%. I mean, the 100% on food or food related items. And that's pretty important. Another thing that we're having some problems with is people that are not sending in their claims soon enough. When you first came on, you signed a piece of paper that said you would turn in your claim by the 10th of the month. In other words, this is the end of September. So by the 10th of October, we should have everybody's claim in here to be processed.
Homes.
Okay. Now, homes, you guys are supposed to send in yours by the 2nd. Now, the sooner homes, we're right now, they hadn't figured out a way to do advanced funds. So we have to get your claim in here, get it processed, get the money back before we can pay you on your claim. So the sooner you get it in, the better we are, the better off we are. But we got some that every month, you know, you have to turn your claim in within 60 days. Now, when I say 60 days, I don't mean 2 months. I mean 60 days. Like, for instance, September is 30 days. So from the end of September, you would have to have it in here by the 29th. If we don't have it by the 29th, it's gone. We can't go back and recapture it. And every month there are some people we have to call and say, we need your claim today or you're going to lose it. You know, and then we have to stay way late on the last day trying to get those claims worked up when they're supposed to be sent in the 10th of the month. Now, I'm hoping everybody will get theirs sent in very quickly here at the end of September, because September is the end of our fiscal year. And I have to get my books closed out so I can get all of this stuff sent to the auditor. So please send it in just as soon as you can get it sent in. Any comments, questions, thoughts on what I've said so far?
Not on chat.
No, ma'am.
I have a thought. Homes, y'all are all submitting online. That has to be filled out as the meal is like, as your kids are eating, you need to be
Yeah, I
filling
was
it
just
out
gonna cover that.
online. And then it shouldn't be an issue to hit submit on the last day of the month.
Okay.
Because we're fixing to cut it off where you can't go back in and fill it out. If it's not filled out after, once we put that in there, you won't be able to go back later and fill it in.
Every day.
Okay, Sarah's talking about the My Food program, and I just hadn't got to that yet. Okay, so the homes, you guys are doing a good job. All of the homes now are using the My Food program to report their meals. And at the end of the month, you just punch a button and well, first of all, you check it for errors, and then you go back if you've got some errors, you fix those errors. But you punch a button and it's gone. We get it processed, and we get it turned in and get you paid faster. We don't have all of our centers on My Food program yet, but when you guys get on My Food program, just like if you're filling out paperwork, you have to fill that out every day. You can't wait because we can go in there any day and look to see if your paperwork's filled out. If your paperwork's not filled out, then you're not in compliance. Same thing on centers. When every single day you've got to go in there and fill it out. And then at the end of the month, all you have to do again is check for errors and punch a button, and you're done. You don't have, of course, you have to send us the receipts, but you can upload those receipts on the My Food program, and we can look at your receipts. If you can just scan them right into your My Food program, and they can be worked up from there, and you don't have to send us any paperwork.
Hold on, Mom. I need
It's
to
our first
correct.
year with the no paper.
Hang on 1 second, Mom. I need to correct something you said. So daycare homes, they can wait till the end of the day, and that's soon going to be turned on. Daycare centers, you guys are required to have it done at each meal. So a home, end of the day, daycare centers, like you need to have breakfast put in there before you do lunch. You need to have lunch in there before PM snack. That's a state requirement.
Yeah, yeah. And again, we can go in there and look at any day to see whether or not it's filled out. And once you get in the habit of it, it's like, and I know you're tired when your day is over, but if you'll just go in there at the end of the day and take that 5 minutes or so to fill out your menus and to check off the kids that are there that day. Once you start doing that, and once it has become an established habit, then it's going to take a load off of you, because I know you sit there all month thinking, I need to get this done. 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 If you'll get in the habit of doing it every single day, which you have to, then it's going to take just a big load off of your mind. So get in the habit of it and get started doing it, because it just makes everything so much easier. Because if we need something, all we have to do is go in there and print it out. Let me see what else on your production records, on you people that are still filling out your production records. Remember to pay attention that we've had some that come through that they counted more children on their production records than they did in attendance. Well, you can't feed more kids than what you have in attendance. So every day, make sure that those match. You know, if you fed 20 lunches and you only have 19 children checked in, well, somebody didn't get counted, or you counted too many plates. So make sure that you
Real
yeah.
quick, real quick, while we're back on my food program, before we leave there, you guys can check for errors as many times as you want to in the month. It's not a one-time deal at the end of the month. If you want to check for errors at the end of each meal, it's fine to do that. It won't mess anything up. So you can check for errors. Like I say, as you're putting it in, you can check and it'll tell you what mistakes are made and give you the opportunity to correct that right then. So no limit on the number of times you can check for errors.
Wait a minute. Yeah, for a while, when you first get started, you go in there and check for error. That, you know, once you get everything filled out for the day, go in there and check for errors and see if you've done, see if you've done everything. You see if you've done everything right, and then if you don't, that's another learning process. Okay, I forgot to do this. 2 or 3 days of that, then you're going to remember, oh, I got to get this done. So you don't have to wait till the end of the month to do those check for errors. Do it every day till this thing just becomes a habit, and it's just at the end of the month, you just sit down, punch a button, and it's gone. So it can't get any better. And if you make a mistake, like if you didn't serve enough of this, or you didn't serve enough of that, or you didn't, you needed another component for a meal or whatever, or you forgot to mark your whole grain, it tells you all of these things. So it's a lot safer than the paper claims, because as you go, it's going to tell you what you need to do to fix it. Like you didn't mark your whole grain. So you can go back and get your whole grain. If you fed your whole grain, now don't just go back and mark something whole grain if you're not feeding a whole grain. So if you had a meal and it was wrong, you can't go back in there and put things that you didn't do. But the My Food program is a really good training tool, because if you try to feed a food or something that's not eligible, it will let you know. So it's just remember that. On your My Food program, Joe, talk to them about uploading their enrollment forms and stuff, because
Okay, so actually, when you get in there and you're entering the child, you'll go in and put in all the information. I'll tell you what we'll do. Hang on, I'll share a screen and we'll kind of show how this works. It's gonna take me a second. I wasn't prepared for this, but we can still do it. I know. Just give me a second. I wasn't ready for this, so.
Mm.
Get that.
Mute yourself.
Mm.
I came across the situation the other day, and you need to make sure if you've got 5 babies that you're saying you served that day and 19 infant or 1 to 2 year olds and say 11 3 to 5 year olds and so forth, you have to make sure that you've got the top number of each age group that you claim, not 30, making sure that you just had 34 because you had 34 meals, breakfast is 34 lunches and 34 p.m. snacks, but you could have had 34 at each meal, but say you served 5 babies.
You're just confusing them, Sarah.
Joe, can you explain that situation that we just had?
That's so rare.
Yeah, it was my plan to explain it, Sarah. You're confusing people. So are y'all seeing my, what are y'all seeing on the screen right now?
My food program.
My food
Yeah.
program. Okay. All right. Now let me get to where
The
I
test.
can see that. All right. So
Provider.
this is a test provider. This would be what your home screen would look like. So when you have a new child, you get your enrollment form. You're going to go into participant and rosters. And you are going to add a participant, just like this. So this is new child, John Tab. Ooh, that's not what I need to do.
No.
Last name block, that's fine. Gender, male. Allergy, N/A. We'll say that. So they're automatically going to, if you got them in a special roster, you can put them in a special roster. If not, it'll automatically go to the default roster. You do need to put racial identity. If you don't know, you can mark unknown. Same thing with Hispanic and Latino. If any of these pertain to the child, you need to mark that as well. In other words, if they're yours.
Okay, on that race thing, if the parent does not put it down, ask them please put it down because we have to report it and we don't like guessing. So if they don't mark it, go ask them, would they please mark it?
Actually, we don't have the right to ask them. They have the right to not put it down. So if they choose not to, that is fine. That's their choice. We can't force them to put that down.
I didn't say.
That's why it says
I
unknown.
didn't mean force. I just said ask.
Yeah, you can ask them, but you can't tell them they have to. In other words, so then you're going to put down, the start date it'll put down there. You want the end date. This part right here where it says end date, that will actually be on there if you were to make this child inactive. Same thing, they're going to be CACFP. If you were a center and they were being at risk, you change this. Well, it's going to stay standard anyway. So because that's all this system would have. Then you need to go in there and edit their schedule. I don't know what just happened. Oh.
It won't let you do it until that red line up there by their name is that red line.
Birthday. I'm sorry. I knew I'd missed something. We'll just put 11, 16, or 18. All right.
I'll go to edit.
And
Edit
so then
schedule.
you're going to do the edit schedule. So then you're going to put down what time, on the enrollment forms, the parent puts down what time they get here. Let's say they get here at 7 o'clock and let's say they leave at 4:30. Then you can put Monday through Friday and let's say they do breakfast, lunch, and PM snack. So save that. That's going to come out and show that full menu there. Now, to add an enrollment form, you need to add enrollment, okay? You put the day that the parent signed it, you put the day that you signed it. And then you can just click this right here, and it's gonna automatically fill in the enrollment form and then fix it. Now to upload that file, you just go to choose file after you've scanned it. Whatever you named that file, just open.
Are you sure? Are
just-
y'all sure that homes can do that? I don't think they can.
They
I don't
actually-
think anybody
Yeah,
can.
they can enter them, but we still have to have a copy here.
Yeah, we still need to have a copy. Well, we won't have to have a copy if you're able to upload it. If you're able to upload it like I just showed you, then you save that and it'll be in there. And we'll have it.
Joe assisted me. I'm Pamela from TC. Joe assisted me with, and I was able to upload mine from the center.
Okay.
Yeah, she was saying centers, she's not sure if homes can, but I think they can. So, that's pretty much how you do it. Same thing if they're an infant, this is how you upload the infant meal information right here. That's the date that it's on that date. This tells you the kind of milk that they have. If the parents provide formula, you'll put that in there. You put your type of formula in here, and then solid food source. You always want to make sure center or provider is providing that, or you won't get credit for that kid. So same way to upload a form, you just choose it, name the file, click it in there, and it'll save it. So any questions on that? Go ahead.
I have when we're going in there putting that information in there in the system to upload it. You remember I was having that little trouble about my dates when you went in to put the dates in there that the parents signed and I signed. It was like making me put it for a year out, the end date. That's why I wasn't
No,
accepting.
it will automatically do the end date itself. When you click that little button in between them, it will automatically put the end dates in there.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Mom, are you going back or?
Go ahead with your civil rights and then I'll get back to after you finish civil rights.
Okay, I've got a whole slideshow and you're kind of going out of order. I'm afraid we're gonna miss stuff. How about you let me just take on from here and that way we don't miss anything? That work?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Let me.
Yay, civil rights. Yeah.
So, let me get back to the meeting. All right, I know we're gonna repeat a little bit of stuff. I wanna make sure we don't miss anything, but we wanna welcome you guys. I do wanna apologize right off the beginning for it being so late in the year. Like Mom alluded to earlier, we've had all the issues with the state computers and that has set us behind on getting the contracts ready. And we're still dealing with issues with that. So apologize for training being so late, but that's my excuse. This is our agenda. You've met the staff members, so we're going about that. So about CACFP, the goals, the basic purpose of this food program is to ensure that we enroll children are eligible adult participants to receive nutritious meals in daycare. USDA meal pattern components must be included in each meal and quantities must be served as outlined in food banking. And I want to say too, real quick, I know that you guys have been here and we repeat.
No, I'm on food program training, but I've got it muted and I just got home. Hang on, let me make sure. Oh, sorry.
Okay. All right. So anyway, I know we repeat a lot of the same stuff every year, but there are certain things that we are required to teach every year. So it's going to look the same. I was realizing this. I was like, man, we learn the same thing from them every year. And then I realized y'all probably think the exact same thing. So I apologize for it being the same, but we just have certain check marks that we have to meet on our training, and it's the same thing every year. So it'll be new to a few of you, but most of you have heard this stuff before. So funding for the CACFP is 100% federal and is made available through USDA performance-based grant. An approved institution must operate a nonprofit food service operation and must be in compliance with all laws, regulations, and policies set forth by the USDA Special Nutrition Program. and the Arkansas Department. Instead of Arkansas Department of Human Services, it's actually now Department of Education. There aren't any meals for reimbursement money. I just realized I didn't get that changed. So Mom talked about this, so we'll kind of go over this, but we'll be real quick. 50% of the funds that you receive must be spent on food and milk. The rest of it can be spent on paper, food service, other things that go on, rent, utilities, vehicle renter and maintenance for transporting children or food to the feeding site, depreciation, administrative staff salaries and benefits. So that's where the other 50%, but that first 50% minimally must be spent on food and milk. You can spend 100% of it on food and milk if that's the way it works in today's economy. That's not hard to do, especially for some of the centers that are nonprofits and they have a high percentage of paid. It's very easy to spend well over what you're receiving in food. So that's okay, but you can't go below 50%. All right, unallowable costs. Losses are arising from uncontrollable, uncollectible accounts, payment or overclaim fines or penalties resulting from program violations, entertainment, salary and other expenses of state and local elected officials, costs not included in the approved sponsored budget, capital expenditures, purchase of vehicles, fundraising, rental cost of school food service facilities or equipment if rental equipment agreement includes option to purchase, and periods outside of the summer food. That's part of the summer food program, just the rental for that, but for your regular center program as well. Cost of meals in excess of the number of meals eligible for reimbursement. All right, now we're to the part where Mom wanted me to go on, and we're going to train on civil rights training. So I need to escape out of here and go to civil rights. Are y'all seeing this civil rights training? Anybody seen civil rights training?
No, sir.
No.
Okay, that means I gotta get to.
Dog agrees too.
Okay, while Joe's looking that up.
I've got it.
Okay, he found it.
I just had to switch it. So
I
civil
see it
rights
now.
training, huh?
No, I'm saying I see it now.
Okay, all right, good deal. Civil rights training for providers. So in the year 1964, the Civil Rights Act, it protected classes were just race, color, and national origin. 72, they added sex. In 73, they added disability. 75, the Discrimination Act, added to age, and in the 87 Civil Rights Restoration Act. So goals of civil rights is equal treatment for all participants and beneficiaries, knowledge of rights and responsibilities, elimination of illegal barriers that prevent or deter people from receiving benefits, dignity and respect for all. So when we say discrimination, what is discrimination? It is the act of distinguishing one person or group of persons from others, either intentionally by neglect or by the effect of actions or lack of actions based on their protected class. So what is a protected class? Any person or group of people who have characteristics for which discrimination is prohibited based on law, regulation, or executive order. So the 6 protected classes are race, color, national origin, sex, age, and disability. And I actually think there's 7 now. I didn't get the one on here, but you can't discriminate them based upon their chosen gender identity. So they've added that one to it. And an individual or group that is denied benefits or services that others receive, that are just delayed receiving benefits or services that others receive, that are treated differently than others to their disadvantage, and that are given desperate treatment, something which does not seem discriminatory, but has discriminatory impact in practice. So examples of discrimination: refuse a participant's enrollment based on disability, Failure to provide reasonable accommodations to disabled individuals. Serving meals at a time, place, or manner that is discriminatory. Selectively distributing applications and income forms. Failure to provide the same eligibility criteria to all participants. And failure to provide foreign language materials regarding CACFP. So I want to pause right here because this is where we've had some centers in the past that were discriminating and didn't realize they were discriminating. So because of sometimes feeding infants can be a little bit more challenging, parents can tend to be a little bit pickier. Parents can, they got a new baby and they just, how harder it can be. Every baby's different and it just can be challenging. Well, we've had some centers in the past that just because of that decided they just didn't want to do infants in their food program. So they just didn't sign up infants. Well, that was a form of discrimination based upon age. So you have to, at minimum, fill out that infant form, because the parent can absolutely say they don't want the child involved, but you have to have that form there saying that, and then that child doesn't have to be involved in the food program. But you just can't arbitrarily choose to just leave off an age group because they're for whatever reason. Components of civil rights compliance. You have to have a public notification system. You have to have outreach and education, data collection. You have to have reasonable accommodations, language assistance, civil rights complaint procedures, which all of you should have a civil rights complaint procedure envelope somewhere on your premises on how you're going to operate your complaint procedures. And then in that, it should also talk about conflict resolution. Equal access. All participants who attend must be provided equal access to the benefits of the CACFP. That goes exactly back to what I was talking to at the end. To withhold the program from any eligible age group is age discrimination. So public notification must include information on eligibility, benefits services, i.e. free or reduced price meals, program availability, applicants' rights and responsibilities, procedures for filing a complaint, non-discrimination policies, and any pragmatic changes, i.e. changing the location of the meal site. So that you should be received, annually we send out to you the new Give to Parents form, and that should cover all that stuff right there for public notification. When you send that out to the parents, then that's taking care of that. So, methods for public release issued by the state agency. Inform the general public that your agency sponsors the CACFP and that meals are provided with no separate change. That's our responsibility, and we do that. Everybody must post a Justice for All poster. At least all centers, homes, you are not required to post this in your home. There was a little bit of misunderstanding on that for a little while, and some of you may have been told, but daycare homes are not required to post that poster in their home. Coach, you can't hear me? Okay, a public notification, optional. You can have bulletins, letters, leaflets, brochures, internet computer-based applications. So those letters that we send to you annually, you can send those out to the parents, and that's fine. And Justice for All poster. All agencies participating in child nutrition program must display the USDA non-discrimination poster in a prominent area where participants and potential participants have access. Examples: cafeteria food service, office, centrally located bulletin board for parents to see. It must be posted at all your sites. So if you were an at-risk that had multiple sites, you have to have this at all sites. It must be in the 11 by 17 format. So public notification system. All organizations participating in the CACFP must provide informational materials in the appropriate translation concerning the availability and nutritional benefits of the program. News media release required to be done for all participating in the CACFP. We take care of that. We sent those out to the newspapers. So outreach and education. You want to reach as many potential participants as possible. You want to ensure your program, you will have access to your program. You need to pay attention to underrepresented groups. include the required discrimination statement on all appropriate nutrition program agency publications, websites, posters, and informational materials. When using graphics, reflect diversity and inclusion. Huh?
Hmm?
Oh. So, required non-discrimination statement language. Non-discrimination statements in accordance with federal civil rights law and U.S. Department agricultural civil rights regulations and policies. The USDA, its agencies, offices, and employees and institutions participating in or administrating the USDA programs are prohibited from discriminating based upon race, color, national origin, sex, disability age, or reprisal or retaliation for prior civil rights activity in any program or activity conducted or funded by the USDA. Persons with disabilities who require alternative means of communication for program information, in other words, Braille, large print, audio tape, American Sign Language, etc., should contact the agency, state, or local where they applied for benefits. Individuals who are deaf, hard of hearing, or have speech disabilities may contact USDA through the Federal Relay Service at 1-800-877-8339. Additionally, program information may be made available in languages other than English. So, complaint filing procedure. To file a program complaint of discrimination, complete the USDA program discrimination complaint form. Y'all should have those complaint forms in your file. And you can go to this that website there, and at any USDA office, or write a letter addressed to USDA to provide in the letter all of the information requested in the form. To request a copy of the complaint form, you can call the 866-632-9992. And then you submit that completed form or letter to the USDA by mail to that address, or faxing it, or emailing it to the address email there. This institution is an equal opportunity provider. This complaint filing procedure must be included with USDA non-discrimination statement on previous slide. So, required non-discrimination statement language. If the material or document is too small to permit the full statement to be the previous two slides to be included, the material must at a minimum include this institution is equal opportunity provider. So at the bottom of your stuff, this is minimally what must be there. You can do the full statement if you've got room. If not, you have to have this institution is equal opportunity provider. All right, collecting and recording participation data. Ethnic racial data is used to determine how effectively your program is reaching potentially eligible participants and where outreach may be needed. Establish a system to collect ethnic and racial data on an annual basis. Program applicants may not be required to furnish ethnicity or race. You may inform the household. However, the collection of this information is strictly for statistical reporting and has no influence on eligibility determination for the program. Data collectors may not second guess, change, or challenge a self-declaration of ethnicity, race made by participants unless such declarations are blatantly false. Collect ethnic data first, then racial data. So ethnic categories is Hispanic or Latino, and then non-Hispanic and non-Latino. Racial categories, instructions specifically specify mark one or more. So Native American, Asian, Black, Native Hawaiian, Pacific Islander, or white. Obtain ethnic racial data through voluntary self-identification or self-reporting, which is the preferred method, The income statement form completed by each household annually has a section for the household to identify their ethnic and racial data. Households are not required to complete this, but it's on there. If a household does not provide racial ethnic information, you may use one of the following methods. Visual identification by a center official, personal knowledge, records, or other documentation your agency possesses that identifies household ethnic racial data. So data management. Collection systems must ensure that data collected, retained, are collected and retained by each program site, kept secure and confidential, submitted if requested from the headquarter offices, kept on file for 5 years plus the current program year. Identify all sources of information needed. Reasonable accommodations for persons with disabilities. So providing food substitution. A disability is defined as a physical or mental impairment substantiality, limiting one or more major life activities, including digestion. This includes food allergies and intolerance. Programs are required to reasonably accommodate participants whose disabilities restrict their diet by providing substitution or modification for their meals when supported by a proper medical statement. That's the important part. They do have to have a proper medical statement in order for you to be required to change your meals. The medical statement must be from a licensed healthcare professional authorized to write medical prescriptions. Those are licensed physician, physician assistant, and APN. Include how to accommodate, what foods must be omitted, and what foods to provide as a substitution. So that, in other words, it's got to say, hey, they can't have cow milk. They must have whatever milk they want them to have. So it's got to not only say what they can't have, but it needs to say what they can have.
Okay, Joe, there's a question. They want to know if they can get a copy of the civil rights training.
A copy of this training right here?
They just said a copy of the civil
Yeah.
rights training.
So
Yes.
I
Yes.
got this right here from the resource library. You guys can still go to the resource library and download it. So you absolutely can. If anybody has any questions about getting to the resource library, let us know. But basically, just if you go to S&P, it's going to pull up. When you type in S&P on your search bar, it'll pull it up, and you'll see, you can get on there and see the resource library. And this whole slide system right here is in there. So that's where I got it from. So limited English proficiency. So definition: individuals who do not speak English as their primary language and have limited ability to read, speak, write, or understand English. Recipients of a federal financial assistance have a responsibility to take reasonable steps to ensure meaningful access to their programs and activities by persons with LEP, limited English proficiency. Participants should not be used as interpreters. Volunteers may be used, but make sure they understand interpreters' ethics, particularly confidentiality. Example, staff with Spanish language skills could assist a household in completing an application, but would need to be trained on the importance of keeping all information received from the household confidential. So a shortage of resources does not eliminate the translation requirement. Suggestions: share resources to save money, use interpreters from another area, train bilingual staff to be interpreters, contact grassroots organizations to discuss translation or assistance from within the community. Language line phone services may be available for a subscription fee through your local telephone service provider. So right to file a complaint. So any person who believes he or she or someone he or she knows has been discriminated against based on federal protected classes, in other words, national origin, race, etc., has a right to file a complaint within 180 days of the alleged discriminatory action. Complaints should complete the USDA program discrimination complaint form. Complainant may contact both of the following offices to register a complaint. USDA Office of the Assistant Secretary for Civil Rights, and the Arkansas Department of Human Services. You could probably still do that through them, but also the Department of Education, Early Childhood Education. Yeah, all this information may still be good. Handling civil rights complaints. Complaints can be written or verbal. Anonymous complaints should be handled as any other complaint. Sponsors can give complainant a civil rights complaint form to complete. Document all potential complaints in the civil rights complaint log. Have a central location where the civil rights complaint forms and civil rights complaint log will be kept. That's that file I was talking about earlier. The following information should be included in a civil rights complaint: name, address, phone number of complainant, if provided, not required. Specific name and location of entity delivering the benefit or service. The nature of the incident, action, or method of administration that led the complaint to feel discriminated against the complainant. The following information should be included in the civil rights continuum. So the basis on which the complainant feels discrimination exists: race, color, national origin, sex, age, or disability. The names, titles, and businesses, addresses of persons who have knowledge of the discriminatory action. The date which the alleged discriminatory actions occurred, or if continuing, the duration of such action. Civil rights training for agency staff. All staff who work with the CACFP must receive training on all aspects of civil rights compliance annually. Topics: what is discrimination? Collecting and recording racial and ethnic data, where to display posters, what is the civil rights complaint, and how to handle civil rights complaints. Obtain your training records of the people who receive civil rights training. So civil rights must-do list. You must provide the CACFP in a non-discriminatory manner. Must offer meals to all participants in care and provide meal substitutions to participants with disabilities. You must prominently display your justice for all posters for centers. Non-discrimination statement and complaint filing procedure must be on all printed materials available to the public, which mention USDA and or CACFP, including your website. Annually complete the ethnic racial data form. Post and distribute the Building for the Future flyer to all families. Provide information materials in the appropriate translation concerning the availability and nutritional benefits of the CACFP. You must train your staff annually on civil rights and provide documentation of completion, a certificate or a sign-in sheet. Develop and fully implement your civil rights complaint procedures. Make it available to all staff, civil rights complaint procedures. And after reporting a complaint to the USDA, refer all civil rights complaints to Arkansas, instead of DHS, HNU, it must be the Arkansas Department of Education. So thank you for attending the civil rights training. All right, so stop sharing. All right, do you want to go on from here, Mom?
I need to get everybody, if you're not muted, go down to the bottom on the right and mute your.
Here, hang on, I'll mute everybody and then.
Yeah, we're getting a lot of
I'll
calls.
get you back on. Or you can unmute yourself. Hang on a minute. Hang on. You gotta unmute yourself, Mom.
Sorry about that. Any questions on any of the civil rights stuff that y'all would like to ask? Any thoughts, any comments? Again, we know we've done this every year and every year and every year, but we're just required to do the same thing every year. We don't ever get to get any new stuff because we have to repeat all the old stuff over and over and over. Probably some of you daycares that have been in for a long time could conduct this training. Y'all have heard it so many times. Okay, on monitoring, we are required to do at least 3 reviews per year. And our reviews are to, if you've got problems going on, or if you've got questions, or if you've got some thoughts, then talk to your monitor. You know, she's there to help you. We're not there to do a gotcha. We're there to, if you're not doing it right, then we're going to teach you to do it right, you know, till we get it right. It's seriously required that you do, that you have your paperwork done every day. Now, if Diane comes in there and that paperwork's not done, she doesn't have a choice. She has to deduct for the days that are not done, you know, and that's just costing you money. If there are times that you're not there, then you should have some 3-ring binders. In your 3-ring, maybe one of your 3-ring binders has all of your enrollment stuff on every child, you know, and you just put enrollment, and we know that everything's right there. Then another binder could have your attendance and your production records, or you could have an attendance binder and a production record binder. Any one of those, if you're doing this by hand, the old paper method. But it's important that if you're not there, that somebody who is there knows where your paperwork is, and that they can hand those binders to Diane, and Diane can conduct her review off of those binders. So many times we get told, oh, my cook took it home, or I took it home and I forgot to bring it back. You know, whether or not that's true, we shouldn't be told that, because you have to have your paperwork at the daycare at all times when that daycare is open, because you don't know when Diane's going to be there. We do 3 reviews. All of our reviews are unannounced, and all of our reviews are at different times. So if you have a breakfast, one day she's going to be there for breakfast. If you have a lunch, one day she'll be there for lunch. If you're open on Saturday or Sunday, she's going to have to do some reviews on Saturday and Sunday. So make sure, if you're not at that daycare, whoever's there knows how to get in your office and hand her those books. And then she can go ahead and conduct her review, and you're in the clear and we're in the clear, because your cook can sign the review, or anybody that helps, conduct the review with Diane can sign it, and we're okay. I can't hear you.
Paperwork at home is not an excuse.
Yeah, paperwork at home is just really not an excuse, because you're not supposed to take that paperwork home. Now, if you, for some reason, you're feeling early, or you don't have, or all of your kids came in and they were throwing up and you sent them all home, or somebody had COVID or whatever. If you're not going to be at your facility at a feeding time, then you need to call the office and let us know, or even if you're going to, let's say your lunch is at 12 o'clock and, it's 11 o'clock and all of your kids are whining because they're hungry and they're tired, and it's a Monday and they're tired and what. If you're going to feed an early lunch, then you need to call the office and say, I'm feeding early lunch today. That way, if Diane comes in for a review and at 12 o'clock, and she may be sitting down at the park waiting on time to come, where she could have come on at 11 o'clock and done the review. But if you're not there, let us know. Let us know why. Because, if Little Rock drives 100 miles to do a review and there's nobody there and we haven't notified them, then we're in trouble. And we don't want to drive 100, 150 miles for a review and get there and nobody's there. We recently had a daycare that joined us, and Diane went by there 3 times, and all 3 times he was not there. And he would not leave anything with the people who were there, because his office was locked. And so, basically we dropped him because we couldn't do our job. And if we can't do it, we're not going to get in trouble because we can't do our job. So make sure you call us if you're not there. If your school is out for some reason, no matter, like let's say that I know there's one town right now that doesn't have water, just call and let us know. Hey, we're going to be closed because there's no water in the town. So just let us know, and it helps us a lot. I don't know what your next slide is, Joe. Oh, Joe's gone. Okay. On meal preparation, it's okay if you use menus that you've made out in advance. As a matter of fact, my food program every month gives you a suggested menus for the month, and you're welcome to go there and use those menus. You just can't write them on your form yet because, if you're supposed to be having tuna fish today and you go in there and you don't have any tuna fish, then you have to serve something else. So make sure that if you have your menus and you substitute, that you put down that substitution. All the meals that you serve, we have to have the quantities, because when we do our audits every month, we have to check to see if you opened enough stuff to feed the correct portions. In other words, let's say that you needed 20 ounces of meat, but you only had bought 2 pounds, okay? That meal's not going to be creditable because you didn't purchase enough meat to serve that meal. So you putting the amounts that you open lets us conduct an audit that tells us you opened enough to feed the correct portions. Your meals need to be prepared, and they need to be served according with the time frames that you are approved for. In other words, again, if you're approved for a 12 o'clock lunch, you need to be serving at 12 o'clock unless you called to let us know that you're going to do something other than that. I don't think anybody out there has contracted meals, so I'm not going to worry about that one. There must be 3 hours between your main meals, like breakfast or lunch or supper, and there must be at least 2 hours between a meal and a snack. So if you served breakfast at 8 and say served lunch at 12, that's okay. And then you could serve a snack at 2, and then you could have a split snack, like a lot of people will have. There are kids that take a nap there that are at the daycare all day. They'll take a nap and they'll get up, let's say 2 o'clock. You could go ahead and set your time for your snack at 2:30, and then you could have another snack at 3:30 when your school kids get there. So, and that's called a split. You can have a split breakfast, you can have a split snack. If you want to do that, just let us know, okay? Again, breakfast must be served before 9 o'clock. No lunch can be served before 11 o'clock unless you have some kind of prior approval. The duration of the meals is limited to 2 hours, but I don't see anybody sitting there with kids at the table for 2 hours.
Well, where that situation would come into hand is some centers have they have so many kids, they'll feed a certain group starting at 11 and the next group at 11:30. So they have up to 2 hours to get everybody fed. Everybody doesn't have to start necessarily at 11. Also, it has to be exactly 3 hours between like breakfast and lunch. So you couldn't do 8 and 12. You'd have to do 8 and 11. If you did 8 and 12, you would be required to have a snack in between there to make up that times. You could, a lot of places do that and they don't count that AM snack. They have it, so that's the way they do their meals. But, if you don't, it's because you can only feed your kid 3 kids. So most people will do breakfast, lunch, and PM snack. They may have more than 3 hours in between the breakfast and lunch, but they'll serve their own snack that they're not reimbursed for during that time period.
Yeah, like if you get a child comes in at 9:30, you can't feed him breakfast. I mean, you can feed him if you want to, because he may be hungry, but you can't count him. If he comes in after 9 o'clock, you can't count him. Okay. All right, give me another slide, Joe. Okay, milk. We're gonna go over this again. But everybody's doing pretty good on this, except there are some people that are buying too much whole milk. So I think some of the ones that are over 2 are getting whole milk. But anyway, it's got to be fluid milk. Can't be powdered or reconstituted. Everybody that's 2 years old or over has to be served either 1% fat-free or skim. From 1 year old to 2 years old, they have to be served whole milk only. So you have to buy a little bit of whole milk, but most of your kids are going to be on 1% or skim. Now, children under the age of 6 cannot have flavored milk. If they're over 6, you may have flavored milk, but I'd be careful about serving the school kids with the little kids, because if you serve the school kids flavored milk and the little kids don't get flavored milk, they're going to go home and they're going to tell mama that they didn't get treated right because they didn't get the chocolate milk. So you might want to be careful on that one. On your breakfast, your milk can be served over your cereal. Whoop, you lost my deal, Joe.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay,
I
no,
clicked on something
went the
different.
wrong way. Okay. But milk for lunch or supper, it has to be as a beverage, okay? Remember that you cannot serve juice and milk at the same meal. Okay, substitutions other than, well, for breakfast, I guess you could serve a juice, but I don't know if you want to serve 2 different drinks for a breakfast meal.
It's
The
allowed.
substitutions other than soy milk are required to have a written authorization from a medical official. A parent can't come in and just say, I want my child to have almond milk, because it doesn't meet the requirements. If they want almond milk, they're going to have to go to their doctor and get a written statement that the child has to drink almond milk, because again, we don't, rules are set, we don't have our authority to change them. But any substitutions has to be purchased by you. If that parent wants an expensive milk and the doctor gives the okay, you have to buy it. So the parent can't bring the special milk. Okay, parents can't bring items for your meals. You have to serve your meals. I think the new ruling is that you can maybe have one item that the parent can bring. Okay, on grains and breads, you have prepackaged cold cereals. You have enriched or whole grain. It has to be your first ingredient, and no more than 6 grams of sugar per serving per ounce. Your cookies, snacks, cakes, and all of that stuff, as y'all know, can no longer be counted. Even if you see it on the menu at the school, don't say, well, the school likes Super Donut. Just because the school serves it does not mean that your daycares can serve it. Okay, they are basically the same set of rules, but theirs are a little bit different. One serving a day has to be a whole grain, and you have to mark that on the menu. Personally, you can either mark it as WG. Personally, I like a W with a circle around it because it really stands out to us and we spot it real quick. If you've got that WG, sometimes it's just not as easy to spot. But anyway, one serving has to be a whole grain. If you're only serving, let's say you're only serving snacks, that you're on the after school program and you're only serving a snack, then that snack's going to have a whole grain in it. The only chips that we can use are things like corn chips, like Doritos, I believe, are a corn chip. But we can't have potato chips or anything like that. I think the what's those chips?
Sun chips,
Sun chips.
Fun chips? Yeah. Sun chips. I think those are good too. Products that are made with potato flour are not creditable. And I know that and I know this is difficult, but you have to put your grain serving down in ounces. Your bread, your cereals, your infant cereal, all of that has to be done in how many ounces that you serve. Okay. I don't understand the reasoning for that. Most people don't understand it, but that's just what we have to do. Make sure that you put how many ounces that you serve, not how many slices, how many cups, or whatever, but how many ounces. Okay, juice has got to be 100% either fruit or vegetable. And you can't have fruit or juice no more than 5 times a week and no more than once per day. In other words, you can't have juice for breakfast and then turn around and serve it for a snack. No juice for infants at all on any meal. I know we used to serve infants juice, but we don't do that anymore. Fruits and vegetables can be fresh, they can be frozen, they can be canned, they can be cooked, they can be raw, however you want to, however you want to do them. We cannot use home canned items because there's a safety thing there. So we just can't use home cooked items, and that protects you. What?
You said home cooked.
Home canned, I'm sorry.
they can't be home canned, but they can be homegrown, as long as you haven't canned it.
Yeah, they can be homegrown. You can go get them out of your garden because you know what kind of pesticides and stuff you use on it.
You can actually
but you
turn
can't
in
have
your seeds as you can.
But a really good idea if you want some fun stuff to do is to plant your little garden out there in your yard. If you don't do anything but start with maybe a herb garden, but let the kids help you sow it. Let the kids help you pull the weeds. Let them help you harvest it. If you pick green beans out of the garden and you let them help you pick green beans, then they're going to eat green beans that day. If you pull carrots out of the ground and they get to help wash them and do all the stuff with them, they're going to eat carrots that day. So having a garden, and we had some wonderful, and if anybody's who's interested, I forgot what the name of the book is, and Diane probably knows, Grow It something. What is it, Diane? Anyway, it's
called Grow It Like It, and I've got several left if anybody wants anything. So
Yeah,
just let me know.
I'm not sure how good the seed packets are, but it's got little books that you read.
It doesn't have seeds. Y'all can buy seeds and you can put them in your refrigerator, but it didn't come with seeds. So
okay, and of course any seeds and stuff that you buy for your little garden, that's all part of that you can turn in receipts for, when you're turning in receipts. But you'll find that you and the kids will really enjoy that if you let them help you, they'll eat it. Okay, did we skip one, Joe?
No.
Okay, on meats, try to use your lean cuts of meat and try to use poultry. And use fish every once in a while. You'd be surprised at kids that like to eat fish. On your meat alternates, cheese, but no Velveeta or fake cheese. It's got to be an actual cheese, not a cheese product, but a cheese. Like American cheese is okay, but some of the sliced cheeses that are just that are cheese. What do they call it?
Cheese product.
Cheese products you can't count. Got to be cheese. Eggs, kids love eggs. Beans, peas are a substitute for meats. Like put on a big old pot of beans, and that can be your meat that day. Peanut butter. Now, years before, we told you peanut butter could only be counted as half of your meat for that meal. But now they've allowed it where the nuts and the butters, Joe, you guys, the nuts and the butter can be counted for the whole meal. But you've really got to pay attention to the amounts, because 2 or 3 tablespoons of peanut butter is a lot of peanut butter for kids. But you give them the peanut butter and serve celery sticks with it, and they can use their peanut butter as a dip, or they can, give them a little plastic knife and they can smear that peanut butter onto their celery or whatever. And that's a good way to serve peanut butter. And it's a good meat substitute. Yogurt can be a meat substitute, but you have to pay careful attention that your yogurt doesn't have more than 23 grams of sugar in a 6-ounce serving. I don't know if anybody uses tofu, but you can use tofu. And dried meats, like now they'll even let you use those Slim Jims.
Well, don't forget you got a CN label on that too.
Yeah, Mia, if you have a meat stick, make sure you send in. You won't find one with a CN label, but you'll need to get a product formulation from the manufacturer. That's a requirement. It's something we kind of recently learned, and just so make sure if it's a meat stick that you get a product formulation statement from the manufacturer.
Here's the next slide, Joe.
Okay,
your attendance records. These are things that you're required to keep. And while I'm at it, and this may be farther into the thing, but I'm going to say it now. You have to keep this stuff for 5 years plus the current year. Okay. So like for right now, we would have to have 6 years worth, the 5 years plus the current year. After that 5 years is up, then you can, you don't have to save them. But you need to save the attendance records, the production records, the itemized receipts and the invoices, and the receipts must be originals. I don't necessarily agree with that, because originals fade after a while. You go in there and you got a bunch of blank pieces of paper, but you need to keep all the enrollment packet, like the enrollment forms and the income eligibility and the obligation to serve. Save all of that stuff for 5 years. Might just get you one of those plastic totes, and every month, when the month is over, stick all your stuff down in a file folder and stick it in that box, and it should hold about 5 years. And then it don't take a lot of. It's not a clutter, and it's just easy on you. And easy on you is what we want. Okay, Joe, give me another.
Are we through here? Sorry, I had something else come up.
Give me another slide.
Next slide. Okay. Ooh.
Okay. Now this is for homes. The homes have to keep the attendance and meal counts, and of course with hours, that's all on one sheet. And the menus and attendance all on one sheet. But you don't have to, you don't have to do that now. If you're on my food program, all of that stuff is saved in my food program. And getting back, when Diane comes to do a monitoring review and you're on my food program, she can, you can show it what she asked you for. You can show it to you on my food program. So you don't, all of these things, if you weren't on the food program, you'd have to keep all this stuff 5 years. But on my food program, it's going to keep it for you. So that helps you a lot too. Give me another one, Joe. Okay. All of this stuff, it's with my food program, this is for homes. With my food programs, again, you got to keep it done up every day. We've given you guys enough time now to figure out how to do this every day. So we're fixing to change the system back to where if you don't get it entered, then you won't be able to go back and enter it, because we just can't have people wait until the end of the month to try and put in. I can't remember what I ate
I'm gonna
yesterday.
activate that October 1, so.
Yeah, that's gonna start on October 1. I can't remember what I ate 2 days ago, let alone at the beginning of the month, what I fed the kids. But again, all of this stuff and the medical statements, you can upload those to my food program too. But pay attention to your medical statements. You know, pay attention that those medical statements have on there what that child can have. You know, you don't try to interpret them yourself, because you know some of these allergies are serious stuff. Okay, Joe. The obligation to serve, it's not an optional form. We have to have that on every infant. And I think I pretty much covered it a while ago. You got to offer at least one type of formula. And you can also make it where the parent, if they want to, you know, take off at lunch and come feed the baby, have a little spot set aside so she can come in and nurse the baby if she wants to. Okay, Joe. I already covered this a while ago. On feeding the infants, you can't say, okay, I'm just not going to count my infants on the food program because, I don't know, it's too much trouble or whatever. You can't do that, because if you don't count your infants on the food program, then that's age discrimination. And we got to be careful about that. So make sure that you count your kids on, and you know, you make some pretty good money on those infants if all you have to do is feed them, you know, 2 or 3 jars of baby food a day and a little bit of infant cereal, especially if the parent's making the formula. So it's not a cost thing. So make sure that now the parent can decline what's offered, and then you can't count the child. But unless the parent declines, you have to count your infants, because you don't want to be caught for age discrimination. That's just what you have to have for, if you know, for your feeding. For 5 months on your form, it says 0 to so many. Now, when that baby gets old enough to start, you know, testing foods and stuff like that, instead of not serving them, serve them, you know, start experimenting with them, because it's kind of being left to you as the daycare provider to introduce that baby to foods and stuff. So if you see 0 to 4 ounces of, say, cottage cheese, ooh, that's a lot of cottage cheese. Or meat, 4 tablespoons of, maybe that should not be ounces.
So just real quick, so that it says 0 to 4 ounces. The reason it says 0, you have to have it available there, but the baby don't necessarily have to eat it. So
4 ounces is a half a cup. I think.
yeah, that's a lot of cottage cheese.
Good. Okay. On our meal, did somebody say something? Okay. I think Samsung, you need to mute your phone. Okay, for breakfast, you have to have 3 items for breakfast. You need fluid milk, you need a bread or bread alternate, and you need a meat or a meat alternate. No, I'm sorry, you need a fruit a vegetable or a juice. But 3 times per week, you can substitute a meat or a meat alternate for your bread or your bread alternate. Okay? For your lunch or your supper, you need fluid milk, you need a bread or a bread alternate, you need a vegetable, a fruit, or a meat alternate. Now, for a lunch or a supper, you can have 2 vegetables. If you don't want to have a fruit and a vegetable, you can have 2 vegetables, but it's got to be 2 different vegetables. Okay? Can't be, and like if you're opening a can of that's already peas and corn, that only counts as 1 vegetable. You can't count it as peas and corn. Okay? And you can't have 2 fruits for lunch or supper. You got to either have a vegetable and a fruit or 2 vegetables. Now for snack, there's 5 different food groups there. You have to serve 2 of the following. Now you can't, and then it says fruit or you can't have like a juice, let's say orange juice and a banana, because that's 2 fruits. Or you can't have 2 different vegetables. It's got to be 2 different food groups. Okay. And again, any meal of the day can be whole grain, but preferably you start buying all of your stuff whole grain. And every grain that you serve could be whole grain. Again, juice no more than once a day, no more than 5 times a week. And don't forget to circle your whole grain. So
Remember to put a circle or around a W to indicate the whole grain. So even if all your grains are obviously whole grains, you still have to indicate.
yeah, for instance, if you're serving oats, we all know oats is a whole grain, but go ahead and circle that W, because it's just something that's required.
That's
Okay,
everything.
that's too small, but that's basically stuff that I've already covered.
Yeah.
Okay. Again, grain-based desserts, we can't have any of that. We can have graham crackers and we can have animal crackers. Or they're called animal cookies, but they're considered animal crackers. Animal cookies, those are 2 items that we can have, but any other desserts type things, we can't have those toaster pop-up things. No donuts, no super donuts, we just, anything's considered
Banana bread, zucchini bread, all those quick breads, they're allowable.
what?
Like banana bread, zucchini bread, that is allowable.
Go to the next one. Okay, in the stuff that Diane has given you is this, I think it's a trifold thing, and it's a real handy thing to have because there's a whole list of things in there. It's like if you're serving 5 woven Triscuits, then 5 of those little Triscuits equals 1 ounce. Or wheat crackers, but it gives you crackers. It gives you how many of these you would have to serve to get your ounce. It's a real neat thing to have. So let's see, only 2 meals and 1 snack, or 2 snacks and 1 meal per day can be claimed. Teachers' meals should be documented. If your teachers are eating your food, it should be documented because it's going to show us how much you open to prepare, but you cannot count your teachers. You just have to document that you're claiming it. And if your teachers are eating there and they don't drink milk, let us know they don't drink milk, because we don't want your milk audit to come out bad because we were counting that your teachers were drinking milk. Maybe on your claim or something, you just write, teachers do not drink milk. just to let us know. Family style meals are acceptable. And the child has to take up to 3 components. You have to have enough prepared of all 5 components. The child only has to take 3. Okay, but kind of urge them to put some of the other stuff on their plate too. And and I've done training on picky eaters before, and it makes so much sense to me. If you've got a picky eater and he doesn't want to eat the green beans or whatever, don't spend your time trying to coax him to eat that green bean. What you do is you praise everybody else at the table about what a good job you did eating your green beans. And the next thing you know, the little picky eater over there, he's not getting the attention. So the attention's being given to the guys that did it right. And the next thing you know, the little picky eater is going to want green beans because he's going to, but when he gets the green beans, you better give him a lot of praise. That way, they'll try these new foods and discover that they really like them, even though they had it up in their brain that they did not like it. Joe used to be that way. He thought he hated corn. I mean, hated corn. Just had to fight him to eat it. Then he just, once he got to eat it, he decided he liked it. But there was something about the looks of it he didn't like. So I had to fight him for that for years. Don't forget your enrollment form. And the income forms are only good for 1 year. Now, if you have a parent, let's say that you got both parents are working and they're on reduced or paid, this doesn't count on your home. Then if, let's say the mother lost her job and she's not working anymore, get them to fill out a new income eligibility form, because they may now qualify for free or reduced since one of them's not working, or if they got a pay cut, or if they were working 2 jobs and had to quit one of their jobs, help yourself out where you can, so that you get the better rate. Oh, we already covered no grain-based desserts are allowed.
This is just reminders.
Give me another. I just got through with that. It's just,
Hang on.
got any more? Okay. Don't forget, on centers and homes must be maintained. The records must be made. Well, if you're on my food programs, they're being maintained on my food program. If not, you're not on my food program, then you have to retain all that stuff, and it has to be on site. If Diane gets there, you better have a working computer for her to look at. Or you better have those forms somewhere, and somebody at your daycare better know how to get to them. Records must be maintained by the sponsor and for y'all for 5 years plus the current year. If pay attention to your food service contracts that you are required to have if you're a center, because I think those were only good for 5 years, and we might be getting close to the 5-year point. So look at your certificate and see if you need to get started again on those food.
That's the food service manager she's talking about, not the food service contract, but where you had to go and do the extra training. Those are good for 5 years that we probably are coming up on the 5 years. So pay attention to that.
It might be just a refresher. I don't know, but pay attention to it. Don't let it run out. And if you buy more than $10,000 from one vendor, then you need to talk to Joe about procurement. Okay. Government wants the money spread around. Keep the monthly sponsors monthly review of the center. Yeah, Diane's going to give you or send you a copy of your review. Make sure that you have that in your little binder, because if the state comes out, they're going to know how many reviews she's done in the last year, and they're going to want to know when the last review was done. And so make sure you you know, have all that stuff there so we don't get in trouble because you know, you told them you didn't get reviewed or you didn't know, or, you know, so make sure you keep program documentation.
Hey, didn't the state send something out about using state food sources like Tyson Foods? Agriculture Department sent something out to us, I thought,
If they
about.
did, John, they didn't send it to us. So I, you know, if you got that letter, forward it to me so I can, you know, see
So,
what they're talking about. You know,
is it
I know
the
with
email
us,
link?
we
Is
don't have anything that's over $10,000, but for the small stuff, they want to see that we spent it, that we don't always buy. Let's say, don't always buy from Amazon, or don't always buy from Walmart, or don't always buy from Quill, you know. And with the daycare homes, they may want to, or daycare centers, they may want to see that you buy from different deliverers, or but like if you're having a food truck deliver your stuff to your daycare, then you're going to have more than $10,000. So
I think it's 10,000 per individual purchase, though.
I don't know if it's per purchase or per.
I've asked that question.
If you buy everything from
and
the
it was
same
per
place,
purchase, so.
give Joel a call so we can figure out if you need to do that procurement thing.
And that John, that letter I think you were talking about, John, is actually, they were just recommending that you try to use, you know, in-state places. We try to support our state. That's what they were asking about.
Yeah, it
Also,
was.
you know, they recommend, they want us to use like farmers market. You can absolutely go to your farmers market, so you're supporting a local farmer. You can go, if you have a local farmer that grows a bunch of corn and you want to go get some corn from him, that is a source that's mainly for centers that are required to show receipts for where they spent their money, but they are allowed to actually spend that money. You know, they want them to try to spend it at local businesses and local establishments.
If you go to a farmer's market, or if you have a lady down the road that's growing your zucchini or whatever, and you're buying, you know, vegetables from somebody local or from a farmer's market, make sure you save those receipts. You know, get the person to make you out a receipt so that you can include that. And you know, back to your little garden thing, you know, if you're buying hose and rakes and stuff like that, that's all that, you know, that could be expense, you know, that could be shown as a way.
The seeds can count towards food, actually. So that the seeds for your garden can count as an expense towards food. So.
Garden seed, you can't, you know, you can't do it on the food program, but they'll even let you use EBT cards now to buy seeds. But again, not for your daycare. The meal pattern requirements and component documentations, make sure that they're all in compliance. The number of meals claims does not exceed your attendance.
Well, can I go right there? That was where Sarah had asked me to try to explain. Sarah was trying to explain it earlier. So as you have attendance throughout your day, you have to look at it like we had an individual earlier. They had 10 infants for breakfast, and let's say they had 10 1 to 2-year-olds, and then, or no, yeah, for breakfast. But then for lunch, they had 9 and 4. So you have to go with the biggest number throughout the whole day. In other words, if you had 10 1 to 2-year-olds for breakfast,
oh, sorry, I gotta go.
9. So you have to go with those biggest. And so it's the biggest category has to go with attendance, not necessarily each meal. It's attendance at each meal. It's the largest attendance throughout the whole day is what goes to account. So if you only have 20 kids in attendance, you could only have 20 kids for breakfast, for lunch, and that number might be 9, 10, 1. But up there for breakfast, you had 10 of the lowest age category. So we have to go with that 10, 10, and 1. So now that's 21. If you only had attendance of 20, so you see now how you had actually 21 kids in attendance for that day is what you were showing on the production record. I hope that makes sense the way I'm trying to explain it, but You have to go with the largest age category through the whole day. And that gives you what you are comparing against your production records to.
Well, basically, if this happens, we'll explain it to you as we
It
need.
happens a lot, actually.
Okay. If you do something wrong, you know, that we need to send you a correct, because a lot of times we just give you technical assistance on it. If we find something and you need to correct it, a lot of times we just use technical assistance to correct it. But if that technical assistant doesn't correct it, it keeps going on, then we're going to have to send you a corrective action letter. When you get that corrective action letter, there'll be details in there as to how to answer the corrective action letter. Don't ignore the letter because there's a deadline. And if you don't get that corrective action back into us in time, then it turns into a seriously deficient. And then if you ignore the seriously deficient, it's going to turn into proposed term. But anyway, once you correct the action, we tell you you've corrected it, and then we check to see if it's corrected, we're okay. But if you do the same thing again, like for instance, let's say you're short of milk this month. We're going to send you corrective action and tell you you're short of milk and give you the rule and have you correct this, have you corrected. Comes back in, you tell us that you're going to make sure that you, from this point on, that your cups are big enough to serve the required amount, like, you know, an 8-ounce cup, you're not going to be able to serve an 8 ounces of fluid in it, because to serve 8 ounces, it's got to be filled up to the rim. Whatever cups you've got, every once in a while, take a measuring cup, and after you've filled your cup of milk, pour it into the measuring cup. See if it's really eight ounces, because if you're just a half an ounce short for each child all month long, you're going to be short at the end of the month. That's a milk shortage, because every month we have to do a milk audit. So, okay, we send you a corrective action and you agree, you know, you tell us what you're going to do to fix that corrective action. Okay, so then next month or the next month or even the next month, it comes in here again and you're short of milk again. Okay, at that point, it's a seriously deficient. Again, we're going to send you out as seriously deficient, and you have to tell us what you're going to do to correct this action. Okay. Now, we have had some people who just could not correct it. One of the things that you need to pay close attention to, because milk receipts are one of the most important things that you've got going for you. If you send somebody to the store to get some milk, you better make sure they bring your milk receipt back, because the least a gallon of missing milk will cost you is $14. And it can go all the way up to like $45. So you don't want to miss any milk receipts, and you don't want to get into seriously deficient problems because of shortage of milk. But then again, now that you've got the seriously deficient answered, and we say, okay, and then if you again have a shortage of milk, the government figures that you're not going to fix this problem, and then it has to move into proposed termination. You can't appeal anything until it becomes proposed termination. So be careful out there. When Diane gives you some technical assistance, or whenever our little deduction sheet that we, you know, if we make a deduction, we send you a deduction sheet and it tells you why we made this deduction. Well, pay attention to those, and don't do it again, because if you keep doing it, then we have to start that corrective action, and you know, we don't want to put anybody out just because.
And proposed termination means that you can't do daycare, or you can't have your license, you can't be on CACFP for a minimum of 7 years.
Yeah, once it goes to proposed term and you lose your appeal or you don't appeal, you're out for 7 years. And you can't just go open the daycare in another name, you know, or another person. You can't have anything to do with that daycare. Okay, so let's be careful because we don't want to, we hadn't put, but there's only been like maybe 3 people that we've actually done a proposed termination on. And they appealed, some of them appealed, but they lost their appeal because they, you know, we're careful that we have the right documentation to make sure, because, you know, they check us as to whether or not we're doing what we're supposed to do. And if we don't do the corrective actions and the serious deficient, if we don't do that, then we're in trouble. And we're knocked out of the feed program for 7 years. So I don't want to do that. Okay, the future. Where, you know, a lot of daycares have quit. Some say it's because they don't like you know, it's constantly new rules coming out. You know, it seems like every year there's new rules, or they don't like the increased paperwork. From what I understand, the ABC program, there's a whole lot of paperwork to do with that. So Arkansas is hurting right now for daycare providers. You know, sometimes in some towns it's a scramble to find anybody that would take on that want to do childcare. So, you know, if you guys know of anybody who's thinking about doing a daycare, who is doing a daycare, ask them, do they have a food sponsor? Put in a good word for us, if you would, please, because we need to grow. The more that we grow, the more that we can do. So if you know anybody, now let me hit a little bit on the at-risk program, because this is a program that a lot of the churches like to take on and do. The at-risk program is a program that's designed for a place for kids to go when they get out of school. They can get a meal, have some either help with homework, or that some of them have speakers that come in, some kind of enrichment thing that they do for 30 minutes or so, and then they feed them a snack and they can go home. Because, you know, some of these kids are being fed lunch at 10, 11 o'clock in the morning, and when they get out of school, they're hungry. And you know, but this keeps the at-risk, it keeps these kids from going home to an empty house, you know, hoping that it'll keep some of them out of trouble and everything. So if you know a church who you think might like to sponsor an at-risk program where they, you know, it's kind of like, you know, that's what happens at the Boys and Girls Club. The kids come in after school and they've got a place that they can.
They don't have to be licensed. They don't.
You don't have to be licensed. You don't have to do enrollment forms. You don't have to do income eligibility. Every child that you have, you can feed them a supper as soon as they get there. And it's, you know, it's a good amount. And I think it's the same amount that for a free meal at a daycare center. So, but a lot of churches, if this is presented to them, it's something that they would like to do to help their community, okay, and to help their kids. If you know, like if you know a church that's like, these kids come there on Wednesday, only on Wednesday, you know, and they stay from school till, a lot of churches have church on Wednesday night, and they stay till Wednesday night, then till church starts. You know, that they could be on at-risk. It doesn't have to be 5 days a week. It can be, you know, it could be the 1 day a week. It could be 2 days a week. So, and they can even, on these at-risk program, I believe they can also do weekends. It doesn't have to just be a school day. You know, just like summer can be.
At-risk, I don't think at-risk can be on weekends. It has to be when school's in session. Summer food could do during the weekend, but at-risk is when school's in session.
I thought it was took the place like the backpack thing. But anyway, put in a word for us if you know of anybody that's going to do daycare, and also talk to some of your churches to see if they'd like to consider doing at-risk. if you've got a center and you have a lot of after-school kids coming in, if you've got a room where you can put these older kids that are separated from, because the at-risk goes all the way up to the age of 18. So if you want to do an at-risk at your daycare center, if you've got a room where you can separate these kids from your daycare kids, then we can do an at-risk at a center.
And you could get paid for a supper and a snack, so you can feed them supper as soon as they get there, do the enrichment aspect of it, whatever it may be, guest speaker, homework assistant, just whatever. And then after I get through with that enrichment, then you can turn around and give them a snack and send them home.
Can I was thinking of that because I have a center per licensing, because that's what I wanted to do totally in the beginning when I opened. She was saying I couldn't have it at the same building.
You have to have different entryways and a different building.
You might check.
Different rooms.
You might check with the licensing department in Little Rock, because she may not be interpreting it the way it needs to be interpreted. Because there are some daycare centers that are in big buildings and they have a room that they can separate. Now it could be that your building that she just didn't see any way to separate the kids.
It has to do with entryway. They have to be able to not ever mingle. So you have to have a different entryway for these at-risk kids to come in than your center kids to come in. So
yeah, because you can't have your 18-year-olds mixed in with your 2 and 3-year-olds. And that's reasonable.
Right.
So if you've got any questions about it or want to consider it, just give us a call.
Yes.
Let's see. Submission of claims again. Homes on the 2nd of the month. Centers no later than the 10th of the month. Now, used to, they were very regular about if we turned our claim in on Thursday, which we turned it out on Thursday and they processed it on Friday. Well, they've changed that now. We have to have it in by 1 o'clock on Thursday. And then they told us it would take 7 to 14 days for them to process it. So before, we could send out the checks the day before the money hit the bank, and then y'all, would be able to, get your checks.
Before it was processed in 5 days. Now it's 7 to 14 days. So that's the big difference. Where it was a hard line 5, now it's 7 to 14. And we truly I have not figured out a pattern yet of when we get our money. So
okay, we have now where we can direct deposit your check. It helps us a lot to be able to direct deposit. It helps us on postage and all of that stuff. So if you have a bank account, it would be nice. If I had a daycare, I would set up a bank account that said ABC Daycare Food, okay? Or whatever the name of your daycare is. And put all of the money we send you into that account, okay? And then as you're spending money out of that account, you still have a whole lot of money left over, then you're gonna be easy for you to see, hey, I need to spend more money out of this food program so I don't have a surplus building up and get in trouble for not spending all my money. So also, if you've got a checking account set up like that and you get a debit card and you send somebody to the store to pick up something, if they lose your receipt, then you can go back in there with that debit thing, and you've got a time and everything. And a lot of times like if you're at Walmart, you could reprint that receipt. So it would help you, if you've lost a receipt that's got 10 gallons of milk, that's going to hurt you. So that would help you. Every little thing that you can do to keep it going right helps. But other than that, anybody have any thoughts or anything that they would like to share?
If you have not been set up for direct deposit, send me an email with your routing number, your account number, the type of account it is. Most of them will be checking, and then the name that's on the account.
The name that's on it.
I know my local Walmart now, they have where you can text your receipts. So for me, that's been a little helpful because I lose receipts a lot. But yeah, they have now where they can text the receipt to your phone.
You can text
Yes.
and print.
If you, especially if you have a particular card that you've set into that Walmart thing, it loads that receipt right on your phone. And so, yeah, and then you know, it's just helpful. So
This is the, I'll leave this on the screen for a while. This is the access to the resource library that I was talking about earlier, where you can get your training that you have to do for your civil rights training. This is that address to get you to that resource library.
Okay.
got another. Is that still the right address now? That's not the right address. You need to delete that.
What, that gets you to the old S&P.
Does that get you to the resource library?
I think it will.
Okay. Okay, you got another slide? You have another slide?
I've given people, I see people writing. I've given people a chance to finish writing.
Hey,
Yeah,
hey,
if you got, there's a site called Team Nutrition. Back it up one, Joe. Okay, on that fns.usda.gov/team nutrition. And probably if you just typed in team nutrition, it might pull it up. Let me look right. Team Nutrition, it'll pull it right up. But you can go to Team Nutrition and they got all kinds of stuff, people. They got stickers, they got books, they got charts, they got like we said, the farm
For
thing.
free.
They got all this stuff and you order it and they send it for free. They don't charge you for shipping or anything. So get on there and pick out some stuff that you want. What kid doesn't want a sticker? You know, give them a sticker if they did a good job on their meal. Don't give everybody a sticker if they didn't go do a job on their meal. But yeah, there's all kinds of stuff and it's free and they don't charge you for shipping. So get on there.
Most of that stuff that Diane's handing out to you guys whenever she comes by, she's getting from Team Nutrition.
It all came from Team Nutrition. Flip it over, Joe. Okay. The feeding infant is good to download and the crediting handbook. That way, if you've got doubts about a food, you can look it up in that crediting handbook. Okay, I'm gonna let Joe cover the attendance part.
All right, so I know you all put it in the group text, but I really need everybody, if they could, this is my email address. Please answer the following questions. First of all, we need to know what the name of the facility you work for, who attended, and don't worry about, please add whether you've ordered, downloaded, requested materials, and so which one. But I do need you to answer, what percentage of received funds must be spent on food and milk? We talked about that a lot today, so you should have that without even having to go back and look. And number two, peanut butter can be 100% of your meat and meat alternate component for lunch or supper. And I'm not even sure if we covered that, but that has recently changed.
Yes, I did cover that. And the reason for this is we don't want people that aren't here today to be able to sit down and say that they attended. Well, if they don't go to the end, then they,
But it has recently changed that peanut butter can be 100% of your meat and meat alternate at lunch and supper now. Where in the past it could only be half, now it can be 100%. So that I believe. All right, stepping into the future, we're talking about the My Food program. Everybody should be able to get on My Food program at this point. We have sent welcoming letters to everybody. My daycare homes are doing an excellent job. I've only got a few centers that are doing it. But you should be set up. Your kids should be in there. You should be able to get in and get started. If you are confused about it, feel free to call us.
As far as
We
I
do
know,
have a
everybody
YouTube
that's got
channel.
on my food program has loved it.
Yeah. We do have a YouTube channel, and on that YouTube channel, there are training videos for daycare homes. There's training videos for daycare centers on how to utilize my food program, and they do an excellent job of explaining it. If not, give me a call and I can help you get through it as well. So, anybody have any questions that I think that's the end of our program. Yep, that's it. So, go ahead.
Hey, the October thing is starting next month. You're talking about being able to go back and put back in who's in attendance or who's not. Go over that one more time. I mean, how's it going to affect the homes as opposed to the centers?
So,
Okay, what he's saying is there's a setting that we can do, and what it is, if you don't enter your records for the day, you know, like your attendance and your meal production records, if you don't do it, then you lose it. You can't go back. Let's say that you're missing a whole week.
So basically, John, the way, even in the past, daycare homes were required at the end of the day to sit down and do their paperwork.
You understand that? Is
yeah.
it this computer deal? Is it like you got 2 days? Is it you got 1 day?
It's going to be the same. At the day, you need to have completed that day's option for daycare homes. In the past, even when doing paperwork, daycare centers were required to do it at each meal. So
well, I do it once in a while. This is PM snack. Forget about it. I won't catch it till the next morning. Is that all right? What I'm asking you.
Yeah, we can set it up where it's the next morning.
Just for PM.
I'll get it. That's just sometimes like you get busy in the afternoon. I forgot my PM snack. You know, logging it.
Yeah.
So here logging to catch me in the morning. It says I'm, ready.
I'll look. I think there's a 24-hour setting from the meal, and so I'll try to get it where if y'all forget your evening meal, I can't remember. It's been so long since I looked at the settings, but I'll try to give it where you have a little bit of time. But technically, you're supposed to have it documented at that day, and for centers, they're supposed to be documented at that meal. So that's not our requirement. That's not something that that is what the state requires. So the state requires you have it documented.
Oh, it's easier to do. I get it. Much easier to do to keep, so.
Yeah, I've got one more thing that I need to cover. Lately, we've had some problems with people that have faxed something to us or emailed something to us, and it doesn't get here. You know, if y'all would just like call when you fax something, if you'll call and say, "Did you get my fax?" and we'll run in there and see if it's on the printer and let you know, because if we don't get it, we don't know we didn't get it. So
if you email it to me, I am really good, and I've got the girls doing it too. When you email it to us, you should be getting a notification back. Hey, I got this. If you don't get that notification back that says I got this, call. It means somebody either forgot to say I got this or we didn't get it.
We don't want anybody missing a month just because they thought they sent it and we didn't get it. Because sometimes faxes just go out in la la land. We don't know where they're at. We never did get them, and the provider says they sent them. And so they get upset because they said they sent them, but we didn't get it. So that would help us if you just call and let us, did you get it?
The SNP link. The SNP link is not working, so y'all gonna have to figure something else out.
And if you would, when you do your claim, like a center, when you file your claim online on my food program, call us and let us know you filed the claim.
Did you
to
try
make
to log
sure that
on?
we get in there and get it processed.
Diane, were you trying to log on?
No, not me. Pamela was trying to log in on the resource library, and she said the link's not working.
Let me look.
I can't tell them how to get on it because it's on my computer at the office. All I push in is
If you will
SMP.
just Google SMP, it should pop up. You
Okay.
Google SMP, it should pop up.
Okay, I have an answer on that. It is smp.ade.arkansas.gov.
Yeah, there you go. That'll get you, you can't log into the system, but there should be a little tab to the left that says resource library. You
All the
click
way
on
down to
that.
the bottom.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
The percentage again.
Percentage for
Oh, second to the bottom.
All right, I think that's it. Anybody have any questions, comments?
I think everybody
Pamela,
answered
on-
every.
Pamela, on your link, it was the old link, but you have to now put smp.ade.arkansas.gov. The old link won't work.
Yes, ma'am. I got that. It worked with the one you just gave me. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, all right, good. And
Okay.
the resource library is still there.
Everybody that has not signed in, you need to sign in, please.
Now, Joe gave him different instructions on that.
Oh, okay. Well, that works too then.
And hey, guys, we welcome from you things you think we're doing right and you like. We welcome from you things you don't think we're doing right and you feel like we could change and some suggestions. So please, if you have ideas, we want to make this as efficient and as a good a program for you as it possibly can be. And we're looking at it from our point of view. And, we have the same situation with the state. State failed to, with this new computer system, I think they failed to talk with sponsors whatsoever. And it's got a bunch of situations that just do not work for sponsors. But we want the same situation for you guys. We don't want it to be, hey, yeah, great, that sounds good coming from a sponsor, but as an individual, this doesn't work well. So call us.
If
Let
we
us
did
know what
good or
works
we
and
did,
don't work. We will go over it. If it's something we can't change, I'll explain to you why we can't. If it's something we can change, we'll sure look into changing it.
if we did good, let us know. If we did great, let us know. If it was a lousy training, let us know. Just let us know what your feelings are. And guys, I really enjoyed conducting some of the training today. It's been a long time since I got to do that.
I'd rather do it in person.
It was definitely for me, it's a great training. I love my plate. I started out new with it. I think I was like one of the first centers or a few of the first centers to do it. I'm learning to not to wait to do it. Learn from me. Don't be like Pamela. And
Well, Pamela, it will eventually be, once our centers get going and they get used to it all, it's going to be where you guys have to put in at each meal. So let's just start out with the habit. Don't even worry about putting it on paperwork. It's right there on your computer. It's actually probably quicker to click and point your food, put it in, than it is to write it down. So
I'm learning. I love it. I thank you guys so much today. This meeting, it's opened up a lot for me to know what I need to do.
And go.
Okay, y'all can go now. 'Cause I gotta close my app.
See you later.
My apps keep telling me to
I'll hang
close.
around for a
Bye,
little bit. If
y'all.
you guys got any questions, you're free to leave now if you want to leave.
Yep. Bye.
All
Y'all have
right.
a good one.
Thanks, guys.
I leave.
We'll stop the recording at this point, so you feel free to